It's time for the Skyhawks Coaches Corner, recorded live at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum.
Welcome to the Skyhawks Coaches Corner, brought to you by Centura Health and Mercy Regional Medical Center. Being filmed at Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum. Great surroundings. To talk about a great program with head men's track coach here, Joshua Coon today. Josh, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning.
The first interview I did with Fort Lewis College was with you almost exactly a year ago. It's like the Lost Tapes interview, though. It's the interview that never went anywhere because a year ago you and I sat down to talk about the upcoming track season. It's a long story now. Everybody knows it. We had no track season last year. So sort of bring us up to speed. First of all, let's talk a little bit about what that was like. We're literally days away from you guys getting to go when all of a sudden the season was cut short or eliminated.
We chatted and the entire world changed, and I don't know how much more needs to be said about that.
What do you do as runners? What did you do as a team? What was the first thing, okay, season's canceled, kids went home.
Yeah.
How did you engage? How did you stay engaged with your team through those first couple of months?
We did some Zooms and checked in at least bi-weekly. Mm-hmm. I tried to check in with everybody as much as I could, mostly just stressed, finishing your schoolwork, not worrying about things we can't control, and this is out of our hands. And I think a lot of us were mourning it, there's bigger things. It's a global pandemic, but also we can be sad about losing a season too.
Sure you can. Yeah.
But they handled it well and came back pretty fit for cross, and handled cross exceptionally well because the fall was still fairly tense and difficult. So.
Now that is the one thing, you didn't have to wait a whole year to compete. Honestly, you and the guys got to go have again a strange cross country season in the fall and in the season of the pandemic, but you did get to go out and run and compete. You got to compete at a national invite at the end of the season and really had a pretty successful fall campaign. That had to feel good.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I mean, considering everything, all the shouting out the guys more than anything. They handled every curveball we threw at them with Corona, and every new regulation or thing we had to do, they rolled with it. They handled it. Nobody tested hot all fall, amazingly. Mm-hmm. So I know they respected it too and did their best. And we can't complain about the opportunity we were given at all. So.
Right. Yeah. And as far as what goals did you set? Like I said, you were able to compete with some runners at the national meet. It was a weird season. It was a tough season in the fall to even set goals. So what goals did you set for the guys? I'm sure they were probably forward-looking to this track season that we're getting ready to start now. What did you do in the fall to prepare for where we're at now?
In the fall, we kind of had to stay very much in the moment because you never knew what could happen.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And we didn't get too far ahead of ourselves. But once we got the at-large bid to that national invite, the goal was to not waste the chance. And we brought home some hardware, so that was cool. And I think there's kind of a sense of, I don't want to say relief, but things feel a little more normal.
Right.
I don't even want to say normal.
Sure.
But right now with track, the way things are going, it looks a lot better. And
Let's jump into track. Let's talk about, we are emerging now from the year of the pandemic. Here we are a year later. We can have the same interview again. We joked before we went on the air about, this time folks are going to see the interview and hear the interview because we can feel pretty confident that we're going to have a season. So let's just talk about it now. Forget about Corona and let's look ahead to the spring and what are your goals for this spring? Tell us a little bit about the Fort Lewis track team.
So this is year 2. Last year was supposed to be the second year of a rebooted men's track program. I just actually learned there was one in the early 60s here.
Okay.
Because we have a guy in our Hall of Fame that was on it, and I Googled him and found some more about him. So this is the reboot, almost 60 years later.
Sure.
So we had year 1 2 years ago, sort of a smaller group, 11 guys, because we'd graduated a bunch of cross-country guys that December. So this past 2020 was supposed to be the first big full distance season. Yeah. So we just had to wait a year.
Okay.
But I think guys are chomping at the bit. They're so excited to get on the track. A lot of them haven't been in a track race in 2 years.
Right.
We don't have indoor, and they are, I think, just absolutely stoked to get out there next week.
The thought of when we talked a year ago about, it's the real deal. That first year was kind of the formative year, and let's go out there and let's feel our way and find out, find out where we are and where we want to go and what it's going to take. you were getting ready to find that out last year, and that's a little scary probably. Having the extra year to prepare is if we look for a silver lining, is that sort of taken maybe some of that fear and apprehension away and just pure excitement to go get it now?
Oh, there's so much excitement, yeah, and I think the guys are just absolutely beyond. It's so close. It's next week. It's almost a little scary too, but
close enough you can feel it.
Yeah, and I think I talked about this all fall, so it probably sounds like a broken record, but like there's just a lot of gratitude when you get to compete now because it's not assumed. You can't take it for granted ever again.
Right.
So, and losing an entire track season, which is different than cross. A lot of guys are more mile, mid-distance guys. They're not cross guys, so they lost their specialty. Right. So they get it back here, and we're incredibly excited.
You talk about being blessed and grateful to compete in the fall. You take whatever races you can get.
Yeah.
Just curious, with runners especially, I know, basketball players, football players, you throw them a ball and get a couple of them together, they'll make up a game. They'll find ways to compete. Have you found, over the winter and stuff, what do runners do? Do they have any unique ways to sort of keep that competitive edge, to compete with each other on the squad?
Luckily, we don't compete as often as, like, say, a basketball team.
Right.
We don't have 25 games.
Sure.
Even in a calendar year. So I think we're a little more used to being on our own and being satisfied with the day-to-day process and being a little more intrinsically motivated because, we don't have too many.
As runners, you're used to running against the clock anyways.
Yeah. So in a way, we were a little more prepared for this, probably than some other sports. So.
Runners could handle the isolation more than other athletes, and it would make sense, especially distance runners.
Yeah.
And you talk about now, we've rebooted a track program here, and this is something we talked about in the spring, but touch on real quick before we take a break, Josh. What a great place to run. Is that something the athletes, is that something that really sort of helps keep them training and keep them going around here? You've got a great place to get out and run.
Oh, this place is one of the best in the world. People come from all over the world to run the Hard Rock 100, and we have it makes a lot of sense to invest in endurance athletics in a town like this where you have world-class trails right out the campus door.
Sure.
They're right there. So it fits who Durango is in the San Juan Mountains in Southwest Colorado completely.
Right. Good. Good. Well, it's good to be a part of that. We're going to hear about some of the runners when we come back who've been taken to the trails around here and that you're going to put on the track this spring. Yeah. We'll take a quick break and be back with the Skyhawks Coaches Corner right after these.
After an ACL injury, it's important to involve a physical therapist in your recovery process. Our physical therapist over at Mercy Sports Medicine will use video camera and analysis of your knee motion to ensure that your knee is more normalized so that we can more safely return you to the field of play. If you suspect a knee injury, your first step should be to call Mercy Sports Medicine.
Welcome back to the Skyhawks Coaches Corner. Bob Bonner with head men's track coach Joshua Coon. We're at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum, and our program's brought to you by Centura Health and Mercy Regional Medical Center. Josh, we want to jump right back into the running and get a little more specific about the season coming up. We visited with you about cross country in the fall, and we got to know some of your runners. There they go, off on the long distance trail. Like you said, they specialize a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your runners, some of the events that you will be competing in this year as a track team.
Yeah, well, our focus at Fort Lewis fits with what we were saying with the endurance mindset of Southwest Colorado, the trails. So we're mid-distance and distance only is the events we host at the moment. Maybe one day we'll move to the full well-rounded track team, but yeah, so we got guys that are a little more 10K specialty, more 5K, 1500, and then we have a mid-distance crew, 15, 8 guys as well.
Okay.
So.
What's the difference between an 800, a half-mile guy, and a 10K guy?
Anaerobic training.
The 10K guys are just willing to punish themselves a little more. Is it that easy? That's what someone who doesn't run at that level and never has. Outside looking in, okay, there's a guy who runs the half mile, there's a guy who runs 10K. That guy wants to work harder. He's into pain. No. Is it that easy, or is there more there?
No, they're all willing to suffer. It's just different degrees of and intensities of suffering. The mile is more of a compacted suffering, whereas the 10K it's a little more spread out. It's definitely not a, there's definitely no degrees there of
Is there
differences in work ethic.
Is there a speed mindset and an endurance mindset that's a little different?
Yeah.
That maybe is what separates those guys?
Yeah, we got some guys that can run all day, and some that are a little more, the mile 5K is more their.
Okay.
It's a sprint for them, quote unquote.
Okay. So who are those guys that when the season's over, we're still going to see them out miles and miles away from town on a trail? Who are those guys that really want to go out and cover some ground?
You'll see Steven Nez, who ran really well for us last fall. He was 8th at the National Invite. Ricardo Trejo had a big winter. He's still mad about how his RMAC race went, and he's salty every day.
Now, what do you mean by big winter? Lots of miles?
Yeah, lots of miles. He didn't sit on the couch at all. I think we're going to see big things from him.
Carried the couch up and down the mountain.
Seriously, yeah. So him and Steven and David Wilcox have put in a nice block. They're going to be focusing more on the 10K.
Okay.
But other guys like John, Alan Fowler, John Ngaruiya, who's going to be up next, and Alan Fowler, and even a couple. We've got a freshman that's been working out really well, Asa Demert, who might really surprise us. And there'll be more 5K, 15 guys down there. So
how many can you place at a given meet? How many athletes can you put into an event?
Depends on the meet. Some are have restricted entries and you get 3 entries. Some are unlimited.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but will that help govern where do some of these 10K guys? It's restricted entries this week, so I'm going to run you in a 5K or.
Yeah, I mean they'll only race the 10K twice tops. Like we're aiming to get into the RMAC. To the RMAC championships and then race it there. You don't race that over and over.
You don't just go every week on that.
No.
And is that a recovery? Is that why? Primarily to recover, or?
It would take you out if you race the 10K every weekend. So they'll race some different events, but we funnel the training to one specific race to try and nail that one, get them to the RMAC championships, and compete really well there. So that's how the training's set up.
So who's that? Tell us about some of those guys now that are going to lean a little more towards still long distances. Yeah. We're not talking about anybody running the 100 here, but who are some of the guys who are going to run more of the half mile, the mile?
Yeah, David Menning, Aaron Bushke, Javier Victorino. We got a good crew down there. They've been training really hard in the 8, more the mid-distance guys.
Okay.
So I think they're going to do really well this spring. I mean, David was all conference before at a previous school, and we're happy to have him back in town in Durango. And he was a local Durango Demon, and so. How do
you do the different workouts for these different? Do your really long distance guys, you kind of stretch at the beginning of practice and say see you at the end of practice, and then you work more with intervals with the shorter guys? How do you balance that out?
It can be a little tricky having 3 workout groups and 1 coach, so I usually have 3 stopwatches on, and I give each group their workout, and I try and run around, and John can attest to this, and try and be as many places as I can on the track to.
At your own personal fitness plan.
It's good for me too. Yeah. So.
Now, given that dynamic, though, you've also, leadership probably from your upperclassmen, and I guess sometimes at this level it comes from some of the younger ones. All the more important to have that kind of leadership and commitment from the athletes themselves when you've only got 2 eyes and they're in this direction and can't be everywhere at once, isn't it?
I talk about character, and I've tried to recruit character a lot. So we have a lot of guys I can trust to get the work done on their own. Because we don't have an assistant or a little more help. So, and that's the backbone of a team. Like a team that doesn't have character is kind of, they're going to have issues. So, so I can trust that if I give them a workout, a lot of times, some of the workouts they need feedback, they need coaching.
Right. Some
they can execute on their own. So it depends. But I got guys, I would trust all of them. They do good work. So top to bottom.
Tell us a little bit about, you will just be competing in the middle and in the long distance races. So obviously you're not going to be putting up points in the weights events. You're not going to be running hurdles. So how do you measure? How do you set goals for the season? How do you, like I said, the team scores are going to be deceiving, for a lot of fans. So help the fans understand a little bit now who are interested in following you and what you do. How are they going to look at the numbers from one week to the next and tell if you guys are improving, if you're where you want to be? How do they know that?
Well, times are very objective, so that's one way to see improvements. Track and field and cross country are individual and team sports. They both are very real and very present. You have individual goals, team goals.
Sure.
So yeah, we're not going to put up a boatload of points without pole vault and all the rest of the events.
Right.
But a good, we want to send as many guys as we can to the RMAC championships in Pueblo, and that'll be a big benchmark of how we're doing.
Okay.
Which is very competitive. The RMAC's the best D2 distance conference in the country, and
Sure.
so to make that top 24 list individually it's no joke. So
Okay.
that'd be a good measuring stick about where we're at.
And where are you going to start? Where are we going to start getting to measure, towards that goal? You've got an early bird meet coming up to start with?
Yeah, Pueblo.
Okay.
Yeah, next weekend's the 20th.
Okay. And pretty good idea who we're going to throw into. You're not going to be throwing people into events. You've had a year to think about it. Everybody knows what race they're running. Is everybody ready to go for Pueblo?
Yeah, I think there'll be a little bit of an element of busting rust and trying to, because the track is a very different feel than cross country. It's a very different intensity, and but some are ready to knock it out of the park right out of the gate, and others will have a little more nuanced goals, and their training will be more towards April. So it's very individual in where they're at. And
either way, going to be fun to get started and
oh my God,
and just have a track season.
So much fun.
Been 2 years. All right, Josh, they're giving us the high sign. We got to wrap it up. We're going to play the one real quick, though. I think you played this with me before.
Okay.
Rapid fire, 5 questions. First thing pops into your head. Okay. Quick, favorite sports movie?
Hoosiers.
Okay, nice. No Chariots of Fire or McFarland USA. That's what the girls.
I love those, but basketball's my other.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Well, there you skipped ahead because the second question was going to be if not track and cross country, what sport would you be involved with?
Yeah, basketball was my first love, and I still follow and love basketball. We were talking a little beforehand about arenas we've been to, and So.
Okay. Favorite athlete?
Ooh, Steve Nash.
Okay.
Yeah. I should have runners here, but
no, that's fine. No, that's good stuff. That's really good stuff. Okay, for yourself then, what's your shining moment? Coach, athlete, anything? What's the shining moment that you have for yourself in your career so far?
Shoot. I mean, I've had golly, that's an impossible question. I'll just do the most recent one. A high school kid I coached like 6 years ago, when I was in between college schools, he just made D1 Nats for the University of Kansas, and we've been texting, and I've just been so thrilled for him, and to be a part of his journey. So, there's 20 stories like that, but that's the most recent. So.
Okay. And then here's what's the shining moment you want? What's the one you got your eyes on right now?
I think getting our first guy to the RMAC championships, and our first. Oh, we had our first guy to RMAC championships. Our first guy to nationals would be the big one.
All right. Well, good. Good luck with that, and good luck with the season, Josh.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us. Head men's track coach Joshua Coon. We will be back here in a couple of minutes, the Skyhawks Coaches Corner, with John Ngaruiya, one of the athletes who will be taken to the track for the Skyhawks here in another week. We'll be back right after these. Welcome back to the Skyhawks Coaches Corner at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum. Brought to you by Centura Health and Mercy Regional Medical Center. We're talking men's track today, and I'm joined for the final segment of the program by Skyhawks trackster John Ngaruiya. I said that right, didn't I, John? Okay, that's twice in a row. I'm probably not going to go for it again. We're just going to call you John from this point forward. Tell us a little bit, John, first, you're an international student, originally from Kenya. What's the difference running in Kenya? Most of us have never been there. What's the difference running there and running in the mountains of the Four Corners region?
I actually started running when I came here.
Okay.
I used to play soccer when I was in Kenya.
Okay.
But yeah, my running experience has been in here.
Okay, what soccer in Kenya? What made you change to running when you got here?
Just an interesting. The coach who was in my high school
Okay,
got an interest in me, and I started running.
it was just one of those recognized the talent and said, "Hey, I think you've got an opportunity to succeed in this sport," and encouraged you to give it a try.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it worked out. You ended up going to Central Arizona,
Yeah.
then where you were a junior college All-American. I mean, in the 10K, right?
Yeah.
And what did you have any dreams when you were running around chasing a soccer ball that you could find this sort of success running long distance? Did you dream that it would go that well?
No. It just happened. In Central Arizona, the coaching was really great, and I had some really good teammates, and they were all American, and so just joined the program and
Sure.
did it.
Sure, you get around the right people and learn the right things to do.
Yeah.
Basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Was it hard? Soccer's a running sport anyways. I mean, it's, you spend a couple hours just running. Now it's changing direction a lot more and everything than you do as a track or a cross-country athlete. But the additional miles now going up to being a distance runner, was that hard at first? Was it a little scary thinking about how far you would have to run?
Yeah, it was different. I started out as a sprinter. I started out as 400, 800.
Okay.
And then with time, the coach moved me up to mile, 5K, 2 mile, 2 mile.
Okay.
And then I started doing cross country, and then that's when I started doing distance.
Now, Kenya has a great tradition of distance runners.
Yeah.
Best distance runners on the planet are from Kenya.
Yeah.
First, you're a soccer player from Kenya, and then you're a sprinter from Kenya, and you finally find your way to being a distance runner. I mean, was the speed was there for you early, and you had coaches who recognized that you could build the endurance? Is that how it went?
Yeah. Just everybody does soccer pretty much from
Sure.
when they're a kid in Kenya.
Okay.
And so I just been into sports since I was a kid. So and soccer, it asked you to sprint more, so I
Sure.
just became a sprinter from there.
How's the transition been now from Central Arizona in the junior college ranks up here to Fort Lewis? How's to four-year college? Has it been much different for you, this experience, or is running track here pretty similar to what you found in Central Arizona?
It's pretty similar. Same concept, mileage, speed.
Sure.
And I've had experience doing it, so it's just just
Did the winter throw you off? Was this cold and snow? Is that something you've had any experience with before, or is that new for you?
It's new, and it was a bit tough, but just adapting and
Have you adapted though? You okay with it now? Now we're coming out of winter, fortunately, but did it get easier once you did it for a while?
Yeah, it definitely got easier.
Is that something your teammates help you with, who maybe have been used to running in the snow, that they kind of say, "Oh, get out there"? And did you find that once you got running in it, you got used to it?
Yeah, I got used to it. I think the best advice I got about it is just keep moving. Just keep moving.
Yeah, you can't get cold if you
Yeah.
don't stop moving. So, are you excited though for the summer to get here? Do you prefer? Did you get so good that you prefer running in the cold, or do you like just that hot temperature to get out and run in?
Yeah, I love summer.
You do
I love
like it?
summer, Yeah.
Okay.
I love summer.
Okay.
It's beautiful here in the summer.
Yeah, you were able to run up here last summer?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are your goals for the season? You're going to run the 10K, right?
Yeah, 10K, 5K, 15.
Okay. And you've got one of the top 10, I believe, 10K times of all time for Fort Lewis College. So that's got to give you a little confidence going into the season. Do you think you're ready to compete against the guys you're going to be going up against?
Yeah, definitely. Had a big preseason because of COVID and everything. So the training's there, just getting the opportunity to race.
Ready to go gear up against someone else and see how you shake out on the track.
Yeah.
Okay. You excited for the season? You're confident?
Yeah.
You feel good going into it?
Yeah.
Is mostly because of your JUCO experience gives you that confidence, or the work you've put in over the winter? Where's the source of your confidence right now?
Both. I definitely have the experience, and the experience gives you the confidence that you've done this, you've been there, so
Sure.
you can do it. And the training definitely helps.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you get out there. You get to go at CSU Pueblo here in a few days, and you guys get to start matching up against some of your RMAC counterparts and seeing how you shake out. I'm excited for you to get out on track.
Yeah, looking forward for it.
Hey, we're going to do a quick one. You saw Coach do it. We're hearing folks come into the museum, and you and I are going to wrap up real quick. We're going to play a game I call the 5. You saw Coach do it. I'm going to ask you 5 quick questions. You just tell me the first thing that pops into your head, all right? All right, John, your favorite sports movie?
Sports movie?
Yeah.
Oh, McFarland.
Okay, nice. How about your favorite athlete? Who's your favorite competitor?
LeBron James.
LeBron James. We were talking about him coming in too, having the Michael Jordan, LeBron James argument that everybody always has. What's your one shining moment in sports? What's your best accomplishment in sports so far?
Probably being an All-American.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
The other question, I think you've maybe given us this answer already, is if you weren't in track, what other sport would you compete in?
Soccer.
You'd be a soccer player still. You still love soccer? You like watching it and everything?
Yeah, I do in the weekends.
Okay.
Yeah.
You still play every once in a while when someone else got a ball? All right, good. All right, and your next one, what's your big goal? What's the thing, if you closed your eyes and dreamed about yourself as an athlete right now, what do you see yourself? What's your big goal to get? What medal do you want to win? What race do you want to win?
Yeah, being a national champion.
Just be a national champion?
Yeah.
That's a lofty goal.
Yeah.
Good luck to you with that one.
Thank you.
John Ngaruiya, thanks for joining us on the Skyhawks Coaches Corner today. It's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure too.
Good luck to John and to Josh and to the rest of the Skyhawks as they get their track season underway this spring. We look forward to seeing and hearing more from them. We want to thank all of you for joining us on the Skyhawks Coaches Corner, brought to you by Centura Health and Mercy Regional Medical Center, and filmed as always at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum. I'm your host, Bob Bonner, and look forward to talking to you next week. Till then, keep soaring.